1 month prior to WWF Smackdown 2 being released, Sony released this PlayStation 2 to North America. It boosted better graphics, full backwards compatibility with PS1 games and accessories, an expansion slot for installing an internal hard drive, online network adapter, and possibly its most popular feature, the DVD player. So even if you didn't like the large and diverse launch lineup of games, you could always pop in a copy of The Matrix. The PS2 was a massive success, so much so that it eventually killed the Dreamcast that it was released the prior year, and with low production numbers of the console, kept it off store shelves and went to double its price on eBay. WWF fans with a PS2 though had to wait a full year into the console's life cycle for the next installment in the Smackdown series. WWF Smackdown Just Bring It was released on November 19th, 2001. With its graphical improvements, Just Bring It was able to create each superstar's signature entrances with in-ring announcing by Howard Finkel and play-by-play commentary by then Smackdown commentators Michael Cole and Taz. However, the Fink's voice-over sounded like it was recorded in the shower.
Weighing 272 pounds, representing APA, Full Root.
And Michael Cole and Taz sound robotic and bored.
Oh! Taz looks furious tonight.
The game didn't offer any new match types, however it did up the amount of on-screen characters from 4 wrestlers to 8, the largest in the series. Each superstar was also given a second finishing move, so if you wanted to see a little bit more of a pop in Triple H's pedigree, you can, or have The Undertaker have the choice between the Last Ride or Chokeslam. WWF Smackdown Just Bring It was not well received by critics for lack of improvement in the game engine, which is fundamentally the same as its predecessor. The season mode is criminally short. The lack of, at the time, recently acquired WCW and ECW superstars, and several annoyances such as having VOs for the caution and attention pop-ups, and the memory issues. See, the memory cards on the PS2 were 8 megabytes. Most games would use about 200 to 350 kilobytes, standard fare. WWF Smackdown Just Bring It? Over 4 megabytes. 4 megabytes! That's half the card just for saving how many created characters I have. The one final sore spot on this game is the inclusion of a certain hidden character. See, at this time The Undertaker switched from using Kid Rock's American Badass as his theme song and changed it to Limp Bizkit's Rolling. Now in order for THQ and Ukes to use the song, they had to have one condition. Lead singer Fred Durst had to be a playable character in the game. If you eliminate 15 superstars in Slobber Knocker mode with The Undertaker, you'll unlock the Limp Bizkit frontman. Now you may ask yourself, why would anyone want to do this? The answer is, handicap hardcore matches. Now despite all of its flaws and all the criticism I just mentioned, Just Bring It did sell well enough, but it has not aged well. All eyes were on THQ to see what they could pull off with the next installment, but first, the WWF had to go through 2 major changes that would shake the face of the company for a long time. In late 2002 and shortly after WrestleMania 18, the WWF had a massive roster of homegrown superstars as well as the remaining acquisitions from the WCW-ECW Alliance storyline. With an ongoing ownership struggle storyline with Vince McMahon and Ric Flair, the company split into 2 separate brands. Half of the roster went to Raw and half of them went to SmackDown, while the title holders were allowed to appear on both shows to defend the titles. Shortly after this, the WWF was no more. The World Wildlife Fund was in a long legal battle with the World Wrestling Federation over the trademark use of the WWF initials. World Wildlife Fund sued in 2000 and won the case in 2002. As part of the lawsuit, World Wrestling Federation had to change their name to World Wrestling Entertainment and launch an ad campaign called Get the F Out. And they certainly did, as any footage of announcers saying WWF had to be edited out and the Attitude Scratch logo had to be blacked out or blurred. This also affected the Greatest Hits release of Smackdown Just Bring It, as the cover also had to be rebranded with the new WWE logo, and all other games going forward. WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth was released on October 31st, 2002 for the Sony PlayStation 2. What's interesting about this version is that it's the final game in the series to use one of The Rock's catchphrases as a subtitle, but The Rock is nowhere on the cover. The cover features Triple H, Chris Jericho, Booker T, Kurt Angle, and Brock Lesnar. The first things fans will notice about this iteration is the graphics. Shut Your Mouth vastly improves the graphics of the arenas and especially the superstars. The models look very detailed to their real-life counterparts. Shut Your Mouth offers the same match types and gameplay as previous titles with a few additions. For instance, holding down a face button after winning a match will trigger a different post-match cutscene when the winner can show respect or give the user a post-match beatdown. Shut Your Mouth also improves the season mode, which allows you to play the past year's storylines, including the beginning of the Brain extension. You can choose your show and pick your top 10 superstars in the WWE draft. Although, if you pick Stone Cold Steve Austin as your character, you'll go through the cutscene of Vince and Flair fighting over your contract. Once again, between matches, you'll be traversing the arena in first-person mode to interact with other superstars, talk to your show's owner for title shots, and check your unlockable progress. You'll fight through a full season leading up to the intro of the NWO to the epic WrestleMania 18 match against Hogan. WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth sold extremely well and was light years better than Just Bring It. The franchise was back on track, and its next entry is perhaps regarded as the best in the series. WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was released in North America on October 27, 2003 for the PlayStation 2. It improved the character models, entrances, and introduced new match types such as bra and panties, the Elimination Chamber, and with this being the first game in the SmackDown series to have blood in it, first blood matches. Here Comes the Pain also introduced legends from WWE's past like Roddy Piper, Iron Sheik, and the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk. But with every addition there is obvious subtractions. Here Comes the Pain has no voiceovers, no announcers, no play-by-play, and no music for the legend entrance.
Fucking bullshit!
I mean, sure, they get to ride to the ring in those cool little mini rings a la WrestleMania 3, but would much prefer to hear their music as well. While the graphics have been improved, the lighting in the arena looks really odd. Everything has this purple hue to it. A bit off-putting, but it doesn't take away from the gameplay, which has been drastically updated. You can now set an initial grapple to 4 separate subsections: Power, Submission, Signature, and Quick. Players can now counter strikes and grapples independently with both shoulder buttons, and for the first time in a wrestling game, you can now counter out of finishing moves using both shoulder buttons. This made Here Comes the Pain one of the most memorable wrestling games in a long time, and was Yuke's and THQ's attempt to start taking the series in a less arcade feel and more of a simulation of pro wrestling. Join us next time when THQ continues to evolve the series by having the two shows square off against each other and venture off into different platforms.